Hello students, welcome to EPG Patashala. I am Dr. K.R. Ramamohan, Associate Professor, Head Department of Anthropology, Sikkim University. Today we are going to discuss a module on thinkers on Indian civilization, Swami Vivekananda. This module comes under paper Indian Anthropology. Before we discuss this module, let us understand what are the learning objectives. To understand the whole concept about Indian civilization, to understand the composition of Indian civilization, to know about the contribution of Swami Vivekananda in the field of Indian civilization, to know the influence of Indian civilization among the world, to estimate the work done by Swami Vivekananda in the field of ancient Indian society. So to begin with, Indian civilization is considered to be as old as civilization along with Egyptian civilization. So perhaps one of the oldest civilizations in the world are considered to be Indian civilization. And Indian civilization is famous for its many unique features which are not found in other civilizations. Indian civilization is also known as the Sindhu civilization or the Indus Valley civilization. It is also understood in the context of Aryan civilization, and even Indian civilization is also sometimes referred to as Vedic civilization. So before we understand the origins of this civilization, perhaps, according to some accounts, the Aryans might have kindled the lights of this civilization on the banks of the river Sindhu, is also called Indus, in the northern part of India. Perhaps this might have gone back to thousands of years ago. The Indus Valley civilization is termed it as Bronze Age civilization, in a sense that people started using these metals, especially bronze. They know how to excavate the bronze and make use of this metal for a variety of purposes. Ancient Indus River Valley has also produced significant new techniques in handicrafts. The carnelian products, and there was development of seal carving, and there is advent of metallurgy. The civilizations, people started using metals like copper, bronze, lead, and tin has been used in various purposes. Indus Valley civilization, as we understood, is also sometimes called as the Vedic civilization, where this civilization has produced the important text in the form of Vedas, which are considered to be the highest principles for righteous living. It sanctifies human duties. It gives a direction to human conduct. And these Vedas, as a composition of various principles, aspects of human life and cosmology. These things might have been composed somewhere between 2000 BC and 1000 BC. And these Vedas are spread over into 4 parts. Each Veda describes and promotes a line of thought. And Vedas are considered to be the oldest and most authoritative scriptures of Hinduism. And Hinduism is one of the oldest religions in the world, is based upon all these Vedic writings through these Vedas. And Vedas are divided into 4 parts. The first and foremost Veda is the Rig Veda, followed by Samaveda, Atharva Veda and Yajur Veda, which all these 4 Vedas depicts several meanings and connotations. And each of these Vedas are divided into 4 divisions. The Samhitas is a section of a collection of all the hymns addressed to various innumerous deities. Each hymn has a different meaning to each deity. And people with process these hymns are considered Brahmins. This portion deals with the various rituals and also with moral principles. The Aranyakas, this portion contains various mediations between how to deal, and some of these mediations are the psychological or the mental recreations of the external rituals performed by the people. And the Upanishads, these are the records of the transcendental experiences gained by rishis who follows meditation and gives this eternal wisdom of different contemplative techniques. Well, Indian civilization, the Indus Valley civilization, is also called the Aryan civilization. If you look at carefully the word of Aryan civilization, the word Arya is contentious. Many people approach this word in different ways. But if you look at the source of English word Aryan, which comes from Sanskrit word called Arya, perhaps these Aryans were semi-nomadic Nordic whites which have come from the Western Asia. And it is believed that historically that Aryans might have migrated into Indian subcontinent during 1000 BCE. So the civilization introduced by this Aryan sect of people is called the Aryan civilization as a part of Indian civilization. So what are the unique features of Indus Valley civilization? Indus Valley civilization is also called the Bronze Age civilization, as we discussed that it is one of the oldest civilizations of the old world. Perhaps the 3 civilizations in the old world. Some historians and scholars believe that the Indus Valley civilization is also called as Indus Saraswati civilization. The unique features of Indus Valley civilization, which is also called Harappa civilization, is the origins of city planning. In this civilization, there were ordered houses, and these houses were built with baked bricks. There is the start of elaborate drainage systems, good water supply systems for the houses, and the civilization has also witnessed the large clusters of non-residential buildings, which indicate that people have enough spaces and they organized their entire residential pattern on some meaningful purposes. Taking or discussing about Indian civilization, Swami Vivekananda has elaborated the importance of Indian civilization, the origins of civilization, taking the Indian civilization as its base, Vivekananda wanted to give this message, the finer aspects of Indian civilization, to the present youth. And he wants to bring a social reform for the future generations of Indian society. So in that sense, Swami Vivekananda's life is an important turning point in Indian history. Swami Vivekananda has the credit of presenting the uniqueness of Indian civilization to the West. He wanted to showcase how human beings in the Indian civilization has constructed their life, how they governed themselves, how they elaborated the finer aspects of human intellect, which is not found elsewhere in many civilizations. He showed that Indian civilization has much to contribute to the whole of human society. Vivekananda showed that science and religion, they're not two parts of the same, but they're complementary to each other. Western thinking says that religion is different and science is different. But Swami Vivekananda has seen that there is a synthesis of science and religion in Indian civilization, and they contribute each other in many ways. Vivekananda has pointed out that Indian civilization has produced one of the oldest religions is the Hinduism, and Hinduism is much equipped with the concept of individual's identity. It makes us to look into what a person constitutes. In a sense, an individual can take that who he was, where did he come from. All these meanings are richly embedded in the religious texts. Vivekananda, taking the many cues from this Hindu scripts, and he says that the ancient Hindu scripts has much to offer to the future generations to solve many human problems. Though Hinduism is diverse religion with many philosophies have put together, where one can see the roots of Indian philosophy, the concept of Dvaita, Advaita, all are completely enmeshed in the text. Hinduism also given a way to worship the multitudes of gods, has preached different ways of lives through the different scriptures that are available in Hindu literature. Hinduism has also given, or the Indian civilization has much to offer in terms of the Adventism and the concept of dualism, where mind and body are integrated. Vivekananda wanted to understand why all these diversities are there, and at the same time, how can one preserve these diversities, but at the same time, how can we promote individuality? So he proposed that one has to practically live not with the unseen gods, and he proposed the idea of yoga means a practical philosophy, not a philosophy in the idealist terms, not a philosophy in the terms of abstractness, but a philosophy which is beneficial, which is useful for himself and for his fellow human beings. A philosophy for collectiveness, a philosophy for humanness is enshrined in Vivekananda's message. He wants to instill that every Indian must live with pride. And he wants to instill a spirit in Indians that one can do anything, one can progress with his intellectual capacities. We can build a better society in terms of our individual strengths if we put collectively, where there will be equality among all the Indians. Swami Vivekananda wanted this, taking all the ancient wisdom, and he wants to put that India should once again become a renaissance. Vivekananda has explained how this Aryan invasion has brought the changes in Indian society, and how ancient Indian society was constructed, ordered life. It gave a path to individual life and made a ground for the righteousness. And he wants to bring a transformation with this, the wisdom which has been captured in all the forms of Indian civilization. He wants to take the finer aspects, the unique contributions which Indian civilization has given through its long historical process, through its philosophy of envisaging a better human world. So the major transformations what Swami Vivekananda conceived is that the society should rejuvenate itself. And he preached the practical Vedanta, how to conduct oneself, how to bring change in himself and as well as the others. The guiding principles by taking the eternal truths from Indian philosophy, and how an individual should meet the everyday life crisis and life challenges and move ahead. He wants to synthesize the ancient wisdom principles and put it in a practical way, not teaching grand theories where a layman can understand what is the essence of Indian civilization and the Indian philosophy, by not teaching them the abstract principles in epistemology, in ethics, in metaphysics, but he wants to bring down the essence of these systems of thought of Indian philosophy and said that this is the practical Vedanta one should conduct oneself for the betterment of society. In that sense, Vivekananda was successful in igniting the young minds of Indian society by showing the way that you can do wonders if you harness all your energies in a right direction by doing social construction work. Let us summarize this module. There are two important aspects that we discussed. One is on the origins of Indian civilization through Indus Valley civilization. Indus Valley civilization is also called the Harappa civilization. Indus civilization or Indian Valley civilization is one of the oldest three civilizations in the world. To understand the present society, we need to also understand how our society has civilized through a historical process. As early as 1500 BC, when Indus Valley civilization started, is also called the Harappa civilization. Sometimes this is also referred as the Aryan civilization, which started in the northern part of India near the river Sindhu, is historically understood a starting point for human civilization in the Indian subcontinent. Indian civilization should be understood from this perspective, has much to offer. The way the earliest forms of human society has organized themselves. Indus Valley civilization is famous for its using of metals. It is also called Bronze Age civilization. During this civilization, people started using various metals for various purposes. We could see there were some decorations on these metals. We could see there are certain seal made up of certain metals. That informs us that society started to invent something in terms of progress. Indus Valley civilization is also famous and unique for a patterned house or an organized houses to live, which are made up of bricks. Indus Valley civilization is also famous for its drainage system. This civilization has also witnessed proper channeling of water resources. We could see from the evidences that there is a different place to live and there are certain open places. With this advent in this civilization process, Hinduism has started its roots through its propagation of Vedas. Vedas are considered to be a collection of all the philosophical inputs which directs human beings in many aspects. And these Vedas comes in 4 ways. Rig Veda, Soma Veda, Atharva Veda and Yajurva Veda, which has its own distinct ways of teaching to people. How to conduct one's life, how to lead a righteous life. Vedas are the collections of the great intellectual thinking process or thought process, which have been codified, which have been also been spoken Upanishads, the codes, the rules of how to conduct one's life. Being understood that Indus Valley civilization started technology, it started an ordered life, a settled pattern of living, which also has the earliest forms of scriptures in the form of Vedas, has much to offer from the historical beginning. Understanding the whole essence of Indian civilization, Swami Vivekananda wanted to highlight and take the quintessential essence of this Hindu tradition of ways and means of life, how they conducted themselves. Swami Vivekananda has spread to the rest of the world what are the significant contributions that ancient Indians could offer to the rest of the world. And the uniqueness of this ancient Indians is this form of Indian philosophy. Swami Vivekananda wanted to combine both religion and science in a modern sense. He did not see separately. Swami Vivekananda wanted to bring a renaissance in the modern India by taking some of the best practices and principles of ancient Indian civilization. He was under the opinion that Indian civilization, in its core values, has much to offer to the modern world. And being understood the social divisions, the social realities of Indian society, Swami Vivekananda has given a practical philosophy called practical Vedanta, how to conduct one's life, not by the rituals, not by the idolatry worship, by the ancient religions, but leading a practical life, which is useful for individual and to the fellow human beings. Swami Vivekananda has instilled that young India is in the emergence, and we have that root in our ancient Indian scriptures. If we follow some principles of the ancient text given by the masters, we can progress. So the essential philosophy is to serve humanity, to bring radical changes, to increase the scientific temperament by shunning all the age-old practices of which are not relevant to the modern world. Swami Vivekananda's message to the young Indians is to construct a new India with rigor, with a scientific temperament, with the spirit of humanism, with a spirit of unity, where he wants to put place human intellect is supreme, and human intellect can do wonders for your own country. So he gave us a call for the young Indians to get ready, to prepare themselves, to bring many reforms by cutting across all the artificial social lines like caste, creed, religion, races. He wants the young Indians to work at the grassroots level, to bring a change of the everyday realities that is confronting Indian society. He preached that one should be spiritual in a sense that one should follow the principles of Dharma. The essence of Dharma is to do what an individual can do the best according to his capabilities, according to his strengths, according to his qualities, so that the entire humanity can benefit it, and more specifically Indian society could progress with all individual efforts. He wants to bring this essence of humanistic philosophy, says that if we follow by shunning all the social divisions, we could lead to a world where a better humanity is offered. Being understood the social realities from ancient past to the modern times, Swami Vivekananda synthesized the ancient principles of Indus Valley civilization, which was offered through various historical phases, and the contemporary social issues which is confronting, which is breaking the unity of Indian society. He put in a simpler terms and gave a message to all the generations to come that if we bring these important principles of spirituality and some insights from religious teachings, where a unified Indian society could emerge, and this becomes a model to other countries in the world. Thus, Swami Vivekananda's understanding of Indian civilization at its core and understanding the principal tenets by given the various thinkers in this historical process